Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Janavalabha, Jaya Girivardhari, Jaya Gopi Janavalabha, Jaya Girivardhari, Jaya Jashodanandana, Jaya Brajajanarana, Jaya Jashodanandana, Jaya Brajajanarana, Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Shri Radha Madhava ki jai. We can sing the Mangala Charan together. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you all so much for being here. It's really wonderful to be in this amazing Sangha. Thank you, Ananda Bihari Prabhu, for so valiantly and courageously and humbly leading this amazing Sangha. It's incredible to see how much of a community you've created here around the hearing and chanting of Srimad Bhagavatam. Really, really, really impressed and inspired and grateful to you for doing that. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Prabhu. This community created me. That's how I see it.
It's so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. There is, in the seventh chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we're reading Bhagavatam just so I have the right verses. I have Canto 10, chapter 68, verses 30 through 37. Is that correct? Can I get a confirmation?
Yes, Prabhu, correct. 30 through 37.
30 through 37. Okay. So I was reading uh, in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, where Krishna begins to really talk about himself more often, more directly, right? The nature of bhakti, the nature of his supremacy as Bhagavan Swayam, as the source of everything. And he quickly talks about his material and spiritual natures. His material nature being that consisted of 8 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, gross physical elements, mind, intelligence, and false ego, subtle elements. He said everything that we interact with in the material world is composed of these 8 elements intermixing with themselves. But we, the spiritual energy, belong to Krishna's para prakriti, his superior energy. But the problem is we find ourselves exploiting, Prabhupada translates the word, the resources of this inferior material nature, right? But Krishna is trying to point us towards our true home, our true north. Don't look towards the darkness, towards Maya. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna Kaviraj explains through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hoya Andhakara, that Krishna is like the sun and Maya is like the darkness. So when we're facing towards light, we see light. And darkness isn't created, it's just created when we face away from the light, right? So when there's darkness, when there's confusion, when there's hopelessness, when there's despair, it's simply a forgetfulness of the light that Krishna is shining into our lives. And we don't have to solve the problem of darkness, we just have to simply turn our vision towards light. So Krishna is trying to encourage all of us to turn towards him, right? In order to be situated in our superior nature. And Krishna is about to describe his nature. But he says, and Prabhupada explicitly mentions in the purport, he says it's impossible to understand Krishna through our blunt material senses. That there's an element of grace which is required for us to even understand such transcendental subject matters. And we find this throughout the Shastras, right? When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself instructed Rupa Goswami, that he empowered him with the understanding to receive the message. When Krishna spoke the Chatur Shloka in Bhagavatam, in the second canto, he empowered Brahma with the understanding to receive that transcendental message. And so similarly, as we engage in the study of Srimad Bhagavatam and we read these pastimes of Krishna and Vrindavan and Balaram and Mathura and Dwarka and all of these pastimes, it's not an intellectual exercise to understand the meaning somehow, but it's a prayer for grace. It's a prayer that Krishna, please awaken in my heart. And even if I don't get it right now, even if I don't get it by the end of the class, even if I walk away feeling like I didn't get anything, whatever it is, if you're opening your heart receptively to Krishna's message and then digesting that message through devotional service and through our Nam Ruchi, Vaishnava Seva, and Jiva Dhoya, our attachment and chanting of Krishna's names, serving the Vaishnavas and being compassionate to all living beings, then Krishna will unlock whatever realization is meant to be there. And as we read these verses in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 10th canto, we'll go ahead and look at it, we find this principle itself even being elucidated, where we have, in the very beginning, Balaram himself speaking, seeing the bad character of the Kurus and hearing their nasty words. Initially, right? Balaram, also the Supreme Personality of Godhead, being displeased with the character and the disposition of the Kurus, right? We find that this to be the antithesis to receiving spiritual knowledge. to receiving spiritual realization. Bhagavad Gita chapter 9 verse 1, Krishna describes the quality of Arjuna as anasuyave, without envy. Because you're not envious, I will be able to share with you not just this gyan, but this vigyan, this realization. Right? So that mood we always want to bring to our study, and this we'll see also throughout continuously in Srimad Bhagavatam. The point being less about the perfected performance of rules and regulations, but rather the stumbling and bumbling and fumbling of devotees who are constantly getting things wrong materially, but remaining determined in their sincerity and devotion spiritually. Right? So, let's go ahead and read these verses from Srimad Bhagavatam 10, 68, 30. Drisva kurunam dashilam Shuttavachani chatyuta avochatko pasamramdo dushprekshay prahasan muhu. Seeing the bad character of the Kurus and hearing their nasty words, the infallible Lord Balaram became filled with rage. His countenance frightful to behold, he laughed repeatedly and spoke as follows. So here we see Balaram. What is it that angers the heart of God? What is it that disturbs the infallible? The word achyuta is very interesting, right? Because achyuta means one who cannot be, means infallible, one you can't push over, one you can't conquer, one who cannot, in some ways you can say, be disturbed. But the infallible becomes disturbed when he sees the nefarious character and nasty words, specifically when they're engaged towards harms to his devotees. And in one sense, who is Krishna's devotee? Everyone's a devotee. When Krishna sees us engaging in ways that cause harm or difficulty to others, he takes it very, very seriously. And as devotees, the most humbling part is that sometimes we cause harm or difficulty to others without us intending to. Right? And being willing and able to apologize when we've hurt somebody, even when we didn't mean to, because sometimes that's our biggest offense, right? Well, I didn't mean to, or you took it the wrong way, right? But Krishna's saying that's not the point. The point is that we should be willing to make amends, to care less about how our ego is perceived, and am I being seen as in the right, or am I just genuinely concerned that another devotee is suffering? Another person is hurt. Let me simply focus on whatever I can do to help that person. There's beautiful stories in that regard, but we'll move on just because we want to get to the verses and leave some time for the discussion. So this is the beginning, verse 30, of what is it that disturbs the undisturbable? What is it that causes rage in the infallible? It's seeing the bad character and hearing the nasty words of the Kurus, right? Text 31. Nunam nanamadannada shantim nechatyashadava desham hi prashamodanda pashunam lagudoyata. Lord Balaram said, clearly the many passions of these scoundrels have made them so proud that they do not want peace. Then let them be pacified by physical punishments, as animals are with a stick. Clearly the many passions of these scoundrels have made them so proud. Text 32 through 33. Ahoyadun su samrandan krishnam cha kupitam shanai shantvati vaham etasham shamam icchan ihagata ta ime mandamataya kalaha bhirata kala tammam avagyaya muhur dhurbashan manino bruvan. Only gradually was I able to calm the furious Yadus of Lord Krishna, who was always enraged. Despite desiring peace for these Kauravas, I came here. But they are so dull-headed, fond of quarrel, and mischievous by nature, They have repeatedly disrespected me. Out of conceit, they dared to address me with harsh words. Let's go ahead and read just the next verse. 34. No grishena kila vibhur bhoja vrishnanda keshvara shakradayo lokapala yashya deshanuvartina. King Ugrasena, the lord of Bhojas, Vrishnis, and Andakas, is not fit to command when Indra and other planetary rulers obey his orders. 35. Sundharma kramatyate yena parijato mangripaha aniya bunjate sosao nakila dhyasanardanaha. That same Krishna who occupies the Sudharma assembly hall and for his enjoyment took the Parijata tree from the immortal demigods, that very Krishna is indeed not fit to sit on a royal throne. Here, Lord Balaram angrily states, never mind the Yadus. These rascal Kauravas even dare to insult Lord Krishna. So Balaram here is asking these questions almost like a tongue-in-cheek, saying that you think that these great personalities are not fit to rule, that you think Lord Krishna is not fit to sit on the throne. Surely you are bewildered. And Krishna, of course, makes this point in Bhagavad Gita as well, in the same 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where he talks about the conditioning of the spirit soul, right? Krishna talks about his material and his spiritual energies. But we exist as the Tatastha Shakti. Tatastha literally means to be situated on the shoreline, to be situated on the beach, because the shoreline can be either land or ocean. Is the shore land or is it water? Well, it depends on the influence of the tide. Sometimes it might be situated on the land, sometimes it might be covered by the water. And so similarly, us as the marginal energy of Krishna, we have the potential to be covered by his material energy or his spiritual energy. And Krishna describes as those energies are the modes of material nature. And then in that same 7th chapter of Gita, he describes that therefore those who are covered by those modes of material nature, they cannot see me as I am. That Krishna can be standing right in front of him, but they are not seeing him as he is. Right? Because we were covered by the lower mode of material nature. And so therefore, similarly, Prabhupada set us up with this process of Krishna consciousness, not so that we can fill out a good spiritual report card, but so that he understood the importance of continuously being in Krishna's supreme Paraprakriti, his spiritual energy. Because when we are able to keep close connection with Krishna, we're able to see life more clearly. We don't become confused, we don't become befuddled. Right? We're able to see Krishna's message. Krishna's speaking to us always. Krishna is always there. We're not praying for Krishna to be present in our life. He's always present in our life. We're praying, Krishna, please remove the veil that's preventing me from seeing you in this moment right now. Balaram himself is coming to the Kurus. God is speaking to them, but they don't see it. They just don't see it. Why? Because they are filled with the passions of pride in their heart. They're filled with the passions of pride. Contrary to the example of Arjuna, which is why Krishna said in the first verse of the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Anasuyave, because you are non-envious of me. Right? And what does it mean to be envious? It means to have a misconception of what it means to make me happy. Right? It means to be filled with the insecurities of material life that tell me that I need the things of this world, whether it's the gross physical pleasures or the subtle pleasures of pride and prestige and recognition and validation. Because I'm not experiencing that higher taste in the heart, I therefore have to go looking for it somewhere else. Right? That serving propensity, that need for love and for validation and for belonging and for connection is not false. It's not false in any way, shape, or form. As devotees, we shouldn't be criticizing quote-unquote materialists. We should first be recognizing the own materialistic tendencies in our own heart, which are for sure there. But we should have compassion that if someone is engrossed in material life in somehow, some way, some shape or form, they're looking for the same thing we're looking for. They've just misunderstood where it is that they'll find it. Right? And isn't that a sad situation? So this is where Balaram is expressing his anger, that they are denouncing Krishna himself because they're so infested with their passions of pride. Okay, and we'll read these. Oh, we have 2 more verses. 36. Yasya pada yugam sakshak trir upasate kileshvari sanarhati kila shrisho Naradeva Parichadan, the goddess of fortune herself, ruler of the entire universe, worships his feet, and the master of the goddess of fortune does not deserve the paraphernalia of a mortal king. Last verse 37. Yashyangri pankaja rajokila lokapailer. Yasangri pankaja rajoki. Yasangri pankaja rajokila lokapaler malyutamarditram upashita tirta tirtam pramabhavoham apiyasya kala kalaya shishko dvahemak chiram asya niripashanam kva. The dust of Krishna's lotus feet, which is the source of holiness for all places of pilgrimage, is worshipped by all the great demigods. The principal deities of all planets are engaged in his service, and they consider themselves most fortunate to take the dust of the lotus feet of Krishna on their crowns. Great demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, and even the goddess of fortune and I, are simply parts of his spiritual identity, and we also carefully carry that dust on our heads. And still Krishna is not fit to use the royal insignia or even sit on the royal throne. Purport. The above translation is based on Srila Prabhupada's Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, the place of pilgrimage especially referred to here is the Ganges River. The Ganges water is inundating the whole world, and since it is emanating from Krishna's lotus feet, its banks have turned into great places of pilgrimage. Beautiful. So, again, Balaram is honing in on this point. He's expressing to us the clarity of who Krishna is, and that his feet are the source of places of pilgrimage, that he's worshipped all throughout the universe, and even great demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, and even the demigods and goddess of fortune and I were simply his partial parts of his spiritual identity. But yet we still struggle to worship that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, right? And in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the story of Priyavrata Maharaj, it's a beautiful story where Priyavrata Maharaj was one of the sons of Swayambhuva Manu, and it was his turn to rule the universe, rule the kingdom, but he didn't want to take up the position. Why? Anybody know why he didn't want to take up the position? Who's familiar with the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam?
He was observing a renounced sort of life, living in seclusion, offering sacrifices and prayers to the Lord. And he thought, why should I go to be a ruler? I'm already particularly focused on this way of expressing my service to the Lord.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. He didn't want to get entangled in this whole tabernacle that we're explaining right now. It's like I don't want to put myself under the influence of the material energy. Don't want to risk it. It's too risky. And Brahma himself, his grandfather, had to come and encourage him that sometimes we have to do strange things in the service of Krishna. But don't worry. What you have gained will never be lost. Nihabrikramo nashosti pratyavayana vidyate. What's that verse? We talked about this in the Bhagavat Shravana on Sunday. 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita 240. Beautiful verse from Bhagavad Gita. Nihabrikramo nashosti pratyavayana vidyate swalpamas apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bayat. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Similarly, Krishna later on in Bhagavad Gita talks about Ananya Chintayanto Mam, I believe, 922, that those who are dedicated to serving him with love and devotion, he preserves what they have and he carries what they lack. Right? So why wasn't Krishna carrying what the Kurus lacked? They were lacking vision of Krishna because they didn't have a desire. And they were too infested with pride to engage in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and to recognize the great offenses that they were making at the lotus feet of the Pandavas and their cousins. Right? Rupa Goswami, there's once a very beautiful story. Rupa Goswami was in a meditation. He was in a meditation, absorbed in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And there was a pastime going on in his mind, and he was in the pastime, and he was there, completely absorbed in Krishna and Radha Leela. And he was so absorbed in the Leela that his face was smiling, and he was laughing as he was observing this play of Radha and Krishna and Goloka Vrindavan in the spiritual world. And as he was eyes closed, he was completely disconnected from outside external stimuli. He didn't know where he was in the material world or what was going on around him. He was just absorbed in Krishna Lila in his mind and in his heart. And at that time, there was a devotee, there was a Brahmin who walked by who was crippled in his physical form. He was crippled in his physical form. And this devotee saw Rupa Goswami from a distance laughing. He saw Rupa Goswami laughing, not knowing that he was absorbed in some meditation, laughing at Radha and Krishna's Leela in his mind. And this devotee felt hurt. Felt, oh, Rupa Goswami must be laughing at me because I have a limp in my leg. He must be laughing at me. And he felt hurt. He felt pained by that. Even though that's not what Rupa Goswami was doing, he felt some hurt. And because that devotee felt some pain and hurt, Krishna became so concerned with the devotee's pain that it broke Rupa Goswami's meditation. That Krishna, who was revealing this beautiful vision in the mind and heart of Rupa Goswami, broke that meditation. Rupa Goswami was like, what's going on? What happened? Where did it go? Where did it go? And he went to his brother, Sanatana Goswami, and he said, what? I had this beautiful meditation of Radha and Krishna in my mind and heart. And it was so beautiful, and I was laughing and feeling this ecstatic symptoms of prema, and then it disappeared. What happened? And Sanatana Goswami said, something must have happened. Have you caused any offense to some devotee? Did you knowingly or even unknowingly cause some offense to a great Vaishnava? And Rupa Goswami was thinking, and he couldn't figure it out, and he finally thought, well, there was this one devotee walking by. I barely noticed him. Maybe I unknowingly caused some offense to them. And he went to the lotus feet of this Brahmin, and he inquired from him, and the Brahmin explained to him what had happened, and Rupa Goswami begged for forgiveness, even though Rupa Goswami didn't do anything wrong. Rupa Goswami, our Acharya, who was immersed in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna because of the purity of his heart, unknowingly caused some distress to this other Vaishnava, and didn't feel the need to defend himself, didn't feel the need to say, well, you misunderstood me, you never should have felt this way. He just said, oh, please forgive me, I'm so sorry. And he reconciled. Krishna was so pleased. Why? Because Anasuyave, Rupa Goswami is so free from envy in his heart. He's not trying to prove to other people what a great devotee he is. He's not trying to prove to Krishna, right, anything other than, my dear Lord, I'm here to serve you and your devotees. That is my mission. And that allowed him to regain entrance into Radha and Krishna's Goloka Vrindavan pastimes. So we see this example in Mahabharata specifically. Obviously the story of the Pandavas and the Kurus is more explicitly explained there. But this particular part of it is being brought out, That the distinction between how can we see Krishna even when he's standing in front of us, we're about to take darshan of Radha Muladhar. How is it that we can see Krishna standing in front of us, Swayam Bhagavan, his direct Swayam Rupa in front of us, and not just some really beautiful statues that have been decorated by a pujari? It's this transformation of heart and the character, my dear Lord. I just simply want to serve you and your devotees, and I want to be able to pay attention to the offenses that I may commit, even minor ones. I'm on a mission to eradicate the offenses in my heart. I'm on a mission to serve with kindness and love and respect all living beings. I'm on a mission to imbibe the principle of Trinadapi Sunichina Tarori Vasahishtuna Amanina Manrena Kirtaniya Sadahari, so that Kirtaniya Sadahari, so that I can absorb in your names. I'm chanting Hare Krishna every day, and it's just bouncing off the walls of my ego. Some benefit is taking place. It's like water washing away the hardness of a stone. And the Padma Purana states that the only cure for chanting with offenses is to continue chanting, right? So we shouldn't give up our processes and practices thinking that we're so fallen. That's not the point. If our depression and our lack of self-esteem is causing us as an impediment to devotional service, then we should give up that depression. We should give up that lack of self-esteem. It doesn't serve our bhakti. But the degree to which it helps us become more humble and pure in heart so that we can receive Krishna's message deeply in our hearts, then we can unlock the great mysteries. As Krishna says in the 11th chapter of Gita, we can unlock the mysteries of the understanding of Krishna. The unknowable can become known to us, right? And when Krishna comes before us and says, please, I'm begging you, get along with other devotees. Get along with your neighbors. Treat each other with kindness and love. We can say, oh my God, yes. We can take the role of the Pandavas rather than the role of the Kurus, who double down on the stories of their egos and insist that they're right. And so when we do this as a community, we have the opportunity to be, as Jesus described to his disciples and followers, a light on a hill that gives light to the rest of the world. We can be a model of community. We can be a model of what it means to demonstrate Vaishnav behaviors. And even when people, you know what, I don't understand the mantra, I don't understand the philosophy, but those people, they're just so nice. They treat each other with so much kindness. They have so much love in their heart for each other and other people. I see the way that they respect each other. I see the way that they serve each other. And I don't know what tea they're drinking, or what mantra they're chanting, or what deity they're worshiping, or what clothes they're wearing, or what hairstyle they got going on, or what's on their forehead, or whatever it is. I don't know, but I do want a little bit of what they got. And that's why Prabhupada said, you'll know my disciples because they're perfect ladies and gentlemen. By the way we treat each other, the way we treat the world in general. So this is the message that Balaram is sharing here with us, and Prabhupada's giving to us. So I'd like to open it up in some space for questions, comments, reflections, realizations from devotees, reflections, stories. Please, I would love to hear from you. It doesn't even have to be a question. It can just be something that you heard or that struck you or that you want to share in your own words.
Thank you, Dayal Gauranga Prabhu. It was one of those classes when you're listening to it, you feel like you're a pure devotee already. Yes, bhakti makes sense. Yes, I don't have to blame anybody. I'm going to go out there after class is over, and I'm going to practice it for the rest of my life. This is how I felt during your class. Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's because Ananda Bihari is living in the spiritual energy. He's under the Daivi Prakriti.
Yeah, during class, I'm a perfect devotee. During that class, I was a pure devotee. Still am, I guess, for the next 10 minutes, hopefully. Bhima has his hand up.
Yeah, just short. Can you hear me, by the way? Is it okay?
Yes, Bhima.
Yeah, you sound a little intoxicated, just a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to know, Dayal Gauranga, what tea are you drinking? So, because I could use a little bit of that. I need an easy out.
I could use it too. I'm licking the outside of the jar of honey. I can read you the ingredients, but we need to figure out how to open it together.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you, Prabhu. You did open it. Your ability to articulate in a sort of a stream of consciousness, that you do not hesitate to tell us what really inspires you, what inspires other devotees, and to lay it down. What is it that we as devotees have to be? How do we have to act and behave?
Mm,
Um, it's amazing that would inspire others to come and remember Krishna again, in this wonderful Leela, in his wonderful pastimes. And I see it every day, of course, with the hostel that we have, and the one thing that I always tell the people who work for us, and we hire mostly devotees or those who are favorable. I said, no matter what, always be hospitable, always be kind, always be open-hearted, always put yourself in their shoes, because that's what we need to be known for, to be accommodating and hospitable and understanding. And the reviews that we get are reflective of that. These people are
yeah.
so kind. These people are so nice. And that is the beginning. When I first met Radhanath Maharaj, I was astonished at his character. I didn't understand the philosophy. It was, even though I was majoring or minoring in philosophy at the time, I was afraid of the philosophy because it demanded so much. But it was Radhanath Swami himself, his sweetness and his kindness and his open heartedness, never felt preached at, never felt judged. It was just his love. It was basically
Mm,
just that, the reflection of the love that he has for every person who comes
yeah.
into his association. Those were the things that convinced me to try my best to eventually become a devotee. So thank you very much for reminding me of all those things. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Bhima Prabhu. Thank you so much. Jeffrey Ackler so nicely put in the chat from the book of Matthew in the Bible. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and thus glorify your Father in heaven. So that when people see the character of devotees, it's not just a mundane morality, which itself has merit, but it's an act of devotional service that let me serve other people, so that let me love other people in such a way that they get a taste of Krishna's love for them, so that that love of Krishna may awaken in my own heart. It's a beautiful, beautiful um, process. Thank you. Would anybody else? Gauranga Leela is suggesting that we drink some daisy and rose herbal tea. Um, so that is helpful for our bhakti if we offer it to Krishna. Thank you. Jeffrey, yes, please.
Hare Krishna, Dayal. It's so nice to see you, and thank you for this class. I was thinking while you were speaking about, this concept of this isn't or this is serving my bhakti, and it makes me question, how much discomfort, either physical or spiritual, do we endure? And maybe it's entirely personal, and likely it is, but how much do we endure before we accept that this isn't serving? Because there is a certain amount of discomfort that is acceptable, correct?
Mm,
So there, this desire to not kind of write people or situations off, but also to have boundaries.
yeah.
And so, there is a certain amount of humility before
Mm,
self-effacement.
yeah. Well, there's a really beautiful, I'm glad you brought up this idea of boundaries, because although the word, I don't know if there's a Sanskrit word for boundaries, so although it never necessarily comes up directly, but Rupa Goswami does talk about this in his Upadeshamrita, where he talks about things that are favorable and unfavorable for devotional service, right? He gives 6 things that are favorable and 6 things that are unfavorable. And then in both categories, he talks about giving up the association of worldly minded people and then taking up intimately the association of devotees. And then he gives a process of how to associate with devotees, right? How to engage in a loving reciprocal relationship of service, to offer gifts in charity, accept gifts in charity, to reveal one's mind and to inquire confidentially and to accept prasad and offer prasad. And after he describes and impresses upon us the importance of devotee association and serving devotees, he then goes on to describe different classes of devotees. This is in the 5th verse of the Upadeshamrita. And he talks about, and Prabhupada in his purport refers to these various categories of Kanishta, Madhyam, and Uttama Adhikaris, right? And that while all devotees in one sense should be respected, we may need to choose how we associate with them with a level of discrimination. And that some we may just simply need to respect from a distance, and some there may be some more interaction with, and some certain devotees on a level of advancement that is conducive for our advancement in Krishna consciousness, those devotees we may serve more intimately. So it's not that go find the devotee that pushes all your buttons, that disagrees with all of your other find somebody who's on the other side of the political aisle. Go find somebody who, smells, you don't like the way they smell, you don't like the way they chew their food, you don't like their haircut, you don't like anything about them. Go find them and knock on their door and bow down at their lotus feet and just rub their feet and serve them and just, move in with them. No, it's not saying that at all. He's saying that could be completely counterproductive in your devotional life. But where do I come to a place of sometimes the greatest way we can respect devotees is by keeping a certain level of distance, right? Don't test yourself unnecessarily, right? And I think that sometimes that is also a trick of the false ego, is that when we test ourselves unnecessarily, right? And that's also, since we're getting into the Bible, when one of the temptations of Jesus in the desert when he was with Satan, when Satan was testing Jesus, was trying to get him to test God unnecessarily. God will save you in all circumstances. Jump off this mountain and God will save you. And Jesus says, thou shalt not test the Lord our God. Like, why would I unnecessarily put Krishna in a situation like I'm fabricating some tense? And we also shouldn't fabricate suffering for ourselves, right? Suffering will come without us asking for it. Don't worry, right? You don't have to go looking for it, right? So don't create it unnecessarily. Richard Rohr, in his book Falling Upward, one of my favorite books that I'm rereading right now, he talks about necessary and unnecessary suffering. There's a level of necessary suffering that we go through which churns the ego in a way, like the crucible of the spirit. But we don't need to create unnecessary suffering by putting ourselves in situations that we don't need to be in. So there is a need for levels of boundaries and to do it with maturity and responsibility, right? In the 12-step program, right, there is the taking, searching, and fearless moral inventory, right? And then before we ask God to remove our defects of character, we first become willing to have God remove those defects of character. That itself is a whole step. I recognize, oh my God, I have this anger and enmity for devotee. The solution is to then immediately go and make amends. The solution first is just to recognize it, oh my God, to see that it's there, and then B, become willing for God to remove it. That is a whole process in itself. And we sometimes leapfrog over this process of anartha nivritti. Right? Once I recognize the anartha, okay, now I just got to get rid of it. No, there's a whole process of healing and transformation, and that we partner with Krishna, and sometimes it requires mentors, guides, gurus, sometimes it requires counselors and therapists, sometimes whatever it may require. But don't pressure yourself into being at a level you're not in a way that will hurt you rather than serve you. That's my long answer to your question. I hope it's helpful, and that's all the time.
Horrible, very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Appreciate you. Love you lots. It's 8:02. I don't know if the curtain's open or we went over Ananda Bihari. I turn the floor back over to you.
Hare Krishna, Dayal, Gauranga. Wonderful therapeutical class. Thank you very much. And Bhima Prabhu, it's not because of the tea that Dayal Gauranga is drinking that he gave such a wonderful class. That's because of the sincere Jai Radha Madhava prayer before class. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
I can never.
Okay. Darshan time, turn on your cameras, please, if you can. Is Jeffrey Eckler going to stand up? Let's see. Good.
Shri Radha Murida Gaurachandana Sri Bhagavan ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai, Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Shrimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Is Dayal Gauranga Prabhu still here? No, I think he left. Okay. All right. Welcome to the Afterglow. This is going to be an Afterglow without a speaker. Let's see if we can keep the yagya going for the next few minutes. Would anyone like to share? We need reflections. Annabelle, you look terrified. No need to be terrified. It's okay. It's okay. All right. Anyone? Okay, who wants to say how wonderful is Krishna? And then we'll wrap it up. I need somebody who is childlike. Bhima Prabhu, of course.
I want association.
Gauranga Lila, say it.
I want association.
What was that?
I want association.
You want association? Yes. Great, great. Me too. Me too, Gauranga Lila. Bhima
I
Prabhu.
wanted to get a copy of Gauranga Leela's prayer yesterday. That wonderful. I mean, I was moved. I'm not joking. I really want. I never got the link or where we can get that. Can Gauranga Leela and you do something about that?
I don't know
that?
how to make a link.
Where's your
No,
folks?
copy.
Where's the folks in this?
Take
Your
a
mom and
picture of it
dad.
and put it. Gauranga Lila,
But-
take a picture of that and put it in the WhatsApp group.
Oh, okay.
And then we're gonna have Kartik Prabhu to write it out nicely calligraphically, and we'll put it on
Okay.
Bhima's wall.
Damn straight with a frame around it.
Yeah, yeah. I reached the end of the cliff. I really like that line. And Krishna is catching me. Great, Gauranga Lila. Thank you.
Yes, Krishna catches me every time. That's amazing. Instead of Krishna whacking me, see, I get that. Krishna whacks me, like he actually like pushes me off the cliff. You want to see what's you want to see what's down below here? Take it. And then I end up in splatted like the Roadrunner, like the Wile E. Coyote on Roadrunner off the edge of a cliff. But with her, Krishna catches, just like Prahlad, Krishna softens the fall. Yeah, it's wonderful to hear such a sincere, and of course, as a young person, very young, innocent person, it's beautiful to hear a sincere writing like that. No effort at any ornamentation, but just telling it how a clear, unaffected heart feels their relationship with Krishna is very moving and very inspirational. Thank you very much, Gauranga Leela.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Jeffrey Eckler, you were muted for a quick second. What was it that you wanted to share?
No, I just thought it was very insightful that Dayal Gauranga brought up this concept of progressively understanding our own position. And in light of setting those kind of movable boundaries as we develop, it's reassuring to kind of know that you can evolve, that you don't have to like understand Krishna consciousness as this unmovable, unchangeable reality, that it is so personal that you can evolve with it as a person.
Yeah, absolutely. Krishna consciousness is an ever increasing reality. It gets fresher and more real each time you pick up your beads. It just ever fresh. Isaiah, how are you? Did you like the class? Karen, you should be. Yeah, we see the big smile. Say Hare Krishna, Isaiah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, it was amplified by Akashvani. Cool. All right. So anyone has anything to say at this point before we wrap it up? Who wants to be the finisher?
Hare Krishna, everybody. This is Gail.
Gail.
I don't want to be the finisher, but this, but this class was just so pertinent for me. When Dayal Prabhu was talking about our need to, apologize, even though we unintentionally hurt people, and I personally find that very difficult, So I'm just praying for. I'm asking that you all pray for me that I can, subdue my false ego enough to be able to apologize even when I hurt others unintentionally. So if you all could do that for me, I'd really appreciate it so much. Because I don't have the strength to do it on my own, I don't think.
Everybody, please pray for Gail. She's a very sincere soul. She's a voracious listener. She's there in every class, in the front row, ready with questions that are pertinent and intelligent. And she's serving the entire community by asking those questions on behalf of us all. Thank you, Gail.
Hey, Prabhu, I was asking you to help me subdue my false ego. Now you made it that much more difficult. But thanks anyway.
No, we're trying to fan your bhakti ego, true ego, not the false one. You're dealing with the false one nicely already by taking prasadam, by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, by feeding the good dog. You know, the bad dog will eventually walk away.
Oh, I don't do that much feeding of the good dog, but you can pray that I do more of that also. So thank you.
Okay, absolutely.
Thank you so much, everybody who prays.
Jai. Okay, Grantaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam, King of Books, Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada, our founder, Acharya, Ki Jai. Dayal Gauranga Prabhu, Ki Jai. Everybody on this call and on YouTube, Ki Jai. Thank you very much for chanting Hare Krishna. Chanting Hare Krishna will make your life sublime. Hare Krishna. Isaiah. That's Nashingadev. Yeah.